on a high-profile initiative. When Janet asked how her name came up, the COO said, "Mary from marketing brought you up in our executive planning session." She described how you helped her team rethink their project timeline issues and said you had exactly the collaborative approach we need for this initiative. Mary was a director Janet had only met and worked with twice. She hadn't directly asked her for any opportunities or even mentioned that she wanted to take on more leadership roles and responsibilities. She had simply shown genuine interest in Mary's department's challenges and offered a perspective that helped. And there Mary was, advocating for Janet in an executive meeting she didn't even know was happening. So the truth is, your career advancement doesn't happen in isolation. It happens in conversations you are most likely not part of. And here's the good news. You have more control over these conversations than you think. So today, I'm going to show you exactly how to build your own advocacy loop so that opportunities start finding you instead of you having to chase after them. And you might be wondering, what is an advocacy loop? Well, it's the cycle of giving and receiving professional support that creates momentum in your career. Unlike traditional networking, which often feels transactional, the advocacy loop is relational. It's all based on relationships and creating genuine connections. So it's essentially where you build genuine connections that inspire others to voluntarily champion your growth. There's a powerful psychology behind this. Research has shown that people are naturally inclined to advocate for those they feel connected to and believe in. When someone advocates for you, they are also putting their reputation on the line. They are essentially saying, I believe in this person enough to attach my name to theirs. So that's why authentic relationships are at the core of effective advocacy. There are 3 essential elements that create these advocacy relationships. First, authentic connections. This goes beyond small talk at company events. It's about finding genuine points of resonance with potential advocates, shared values, complementary working styles, or aligned visions for the organization or departments. Second, demonstrated value. Advocates need evidence that you deliver results. They need to see not just what you do, but how you do it. Your approach, your thinking process, your ability to navigate challenges successfully. Third, you need to have clear aspirational direction. People cannot advocate for your next move if they don't know what you want. So you need to articulate where you are headed in a way that inspires others to help you achieve your goals. When these 3 elements align, that means authentic connections, demonstrated value, and a clear aspirational direction, you essentially create a situation where others naturally want to open doors for you. And not because you asked, but because they genuinely believe you belong in these rooms. That, my friend, is the magic of the advocacy loop. It doesn't feel forced or manipulated because it isn't. It's about creating authentic relationships that benefit everyone involved. Let's get practical. Here are specific communication strategies that inspire advocacy. Things you can actually use today to change how you interact with potential advocates. Strategy number 1 is what I call value-first communication. This strategy involves framing your contributions in terms of the value they create for others and the organization, and not just completing tasks or hitting your metrics. Let me show you the difference. Imagine you are updating your manager on a project. A self-centered update would sound something like this. I finished the client presentation and got great feedback. I put in extra hours to make sure all the design elements were perfect. And here's a value-centered update, and this is what it sounds like. The client presentation is complete, and we received enthusiastic feedback, particularly on the ROI model we developed. The team addressed the client's specific concerns about the implementation timeline, which puts us in a strong position for the contract renewal next quarter. Notice the difference? The second approach highlights organizational impact and makes the team look good while still clearly recognizing your contribution. It shows that you're thinking beyond your individual tasks to the bigger picture, exactly the kind of thinking leaders value and want to elevate. Another aspect of value-first communication is making others look good without diminishing yourself. When you help your colleagues and leaders succeed, they remember. So find opportunities to highlight others' contributions in meetings. Connect people who can help each other and share credit generously. And you will be amazed how people notice. And it's not about diminishing your own light. It's about recognizing that success is collective and your ability to elevate others is itself a leadership quality worth advocating for. So that was the first strategy, value-first communication. The second strategy is what I call strategic visibility. This doesn't mean talking more than everyone else in meetings. It simply means being thoughtful about when you speak up and what you say. Start by being selective about which conversations you speak up in. Prepare thoughtful points for meetings where key decision makers will be present. When you do speak, make it count. Focus on insights that move the conversation forward rather than simply restating what others have said. Questions can be a powerful tool for demonstrating insight. Instead of simply offering your opinion, try asking questions that frame the discussion in a new and valuable way. For example, I'm curious how this initiative aligns with our Q3 focus on customer retention. This shows you're thinking strategically without being pushy. Also focus on creating what I call quotable moments, concise, insightful statements that others remember and repeat. These become your calling cards and often get shared in rooms that you are not in. Something you could say, we're solving for customer convenience, not only efficiency. This is a clear, distinctive thinking that gets repeated and attributed to you. So think before you speak. And that brings us to strategy number 3, which is using vulnerability as a strength. So many times we shy away from vulnerability thinking we don't want to be seen as weak, but vulnerability, when used correctly and strategically, is a strength. So while this might seem counterintuitive, appropriate vulnerability actually builds trust and makes one's strengths more credible. When you ask for specific feedback and visibly act on that feedback, you are demonstrating a growth mindset and coachability, qualities that make others want to invest in you. So be specific in your requests. I'd appreciate your perspective on how I handled the team disagreement in our meeting today. It's much more likely to get you useful, actionable feedback than a general, do you have any feedback for me? And that's often the thing we like saying, do you have any feedback for me? So if you do nothing else after today's episode, delete that from your vocabulary and be specific in your request of feedback. And you might just be surprised what nuggets of truth and wisdom come your way. And when you receive feedback, acknowledge it openly and share how you're working on it. This doesn't make you look weak. It makes you look self-aware and committed to grow. I once had a leader tell me that my willingness to openly work on my development areas made her much more confident in recommending me for a promotion because she knew I wouldn't stop growing once I got that promotion. She knew that I was all about growth, that I wanted to continuously improve. Remember, nobody advocates for perfect people because guess what? Perfect people don't exist. Instead, they advocate for talented, self-aware, and continuously improving people. And if that is you, you are in the right place. So the strategies that I've shared so far work really well. But there's another side to this advocacy loop. The things many of us do that actually stop people from advocating for us, often without us realizing that we're doing this. So let me share a few mistakes that we tend to make and that you might be making and that you can rectify after today. Mistake number 1 is assuming people know what you want next. How many times have we thought, but I've said it so many times. You want to keep sharing what you want. Even your closest colleagues and mentors aren't mind readers. If you don't clearly articulate your career aspirations, they won't know how to advocate for you when opportunities arrive. I see this especially with women leaders who expect their work to speak for themselves. If this is you, I feel you. I have been there where it's head down, I'm doing the work, and I'm thinking people will notice how hard I'm working, how successful I am, and how I am delivering results. Your work is necessary, but not sufficient. You need to have explicit career conversations with potential advocates where you share your goals and ask for their perspective on your readiness and growth areas. Mistake number 2 is confusing networking with relationship building. Many professionals attend networking events, collect business cards, and send generic follow-up emails and messages, and then wonder why no one is championing them for opportunities. True advocacy doesn't come from superficial connections. It comes from deep relationships, which require time investment and genuine interest in the other person. And yes, I'm going to say it again. You must be willing to invest time and truly be genuinely interested in the other person. If you are going to try and fake it, it's not going to work. Focus on quality over quantity. It's not about trying to connect with 1,000 people. Choose a handful. Maybe it's 1 or 2 or 3, and focus on building those relationships. And once you have those down, then choose the next 3. Look for opportunities to move beyond surface level interactions to more meaningful exchanges about priorities, challenges, and visions. Mistake number 3 is only connecting with peers, not power holders. Oh, I was guilty of this one. I connected with managers who are on the same level. I connected with people who reported to me, and I made the mistake early in my career not to connect to power holders. Because while peer relationships are valuable, advocacy is most powerful when it comes from people with the influence to create opportunities. This doesn't mean ignoring your peers. It means strategically expanding your relationship circle to include those at different levels. Look for legitimate ways to build relationships with senior leaders. Volunteer for cross-functional projects. Ask thoughtful questions in town halls, or look for mentorships around specific skills you want to develop. These connections don't happen by accident. You need to intentionally create and pursue them. And mistake number 4 is failing to follow through on small commitments. Advocacy is built on trust, and trust is built through consistency. When you say you'll send an article, make an introduction, or provide feedback by Thursday, delivering on that commitment matters more than you think. These seemingly small interactions are usually the building blocks of your professional reputation. Each time you follow through, you strengthen the case for someone to put their own reputation on the line by advocating for you. And there you have it, the 4 mistakes that you might be unwittingly making. And these mistakes send unintentional signals that can undermine your advocacy potential. The good news is they are all fixable with intentional communication shifts. So let me pull all this together for you into something that you can actually use. I call it the advocacy blueprint. It has 3 parts that work together. Step 1 is map your advocacy network. Step 2 is create your advocacy message. And step 3 is activate your advocacy loop. Let's start with the first one, mapping your advocacy network. Start by identifying both current and potential advocates in your professional ecosystem. Current advocates are people who are already supporting your growth in some way. Potential advocates are those who could open doors for you, but whom you don't have a strong relationship yet. Yet being the operative word, because you are going to change that. For each person, consider their sphere of influence. What conversations are they part of? What opportunities do they have visibility into that you might not have? What decisions do they influence? This helps you understand the potential impact of their advocacy. Then identify the connection gaps, the relationships that need strengthening or creating to build a robust advocacy network. For example, you might need more advocates in a particular department at a certain leadership level or with specific expertise that aligns with your goals. This mapping exercise clarifies where to focus your relationship building efforts instead of trying to connect with everyone that you can think of. And that is step 1. Time for step 2. Step 2 is all about creating your advocacy message once you have mapped your network. This consists of 3 key elements that you need to start creating your message. First, your future vision statement. This is a clear, compelling articulation of where you are headed professionally and why it matters. This isn't merely a title you want. It's the impact you want to have and the value you want to create. For example, I could say, I want to lead the redesign of our customer onboarding process by bringing together our engineering and customer success teams. And you can even build on that and say, I've seen how our technical capabilities aren't fully aligned with customer needs. And I believe I can reduce our 30-day implementation timeline to 14 days while improving satisfaction scores by at least X%. Do you see how clear that vision statement is? I see myself. This is what I want to do. I want to take the lead on redesigning this customer onboarding process. And how am I going to do that? By bringing these 2 teams together, engineering and customer success. That is the first element. The second element in creating your advocacy message is what I call your evidence portfolio. Concrete examples that demonstrate you are ready for the opportunities you are looking for. These should highlight what you have accomplished and how you did that, the approach, skills, and qualities that made those accomplishments possible. So if you have not started collecting that, open up a folder, whether you have an actual copy, whether you do it on your computer, make sure you have a portfolio of all the things that you have achieved and how you have achieved them. And if you have data and statistics, even better, add that to your portfolio. That's number 2. The third element is your specific support requests. These are clear, actionable ways others can help advance your goals. Rather than vague statements like, I'd like more leadership opportunities, create targeted requests such as, would you be willing to recommend me for the cross-functional task force being formed next month? Or you could say, I'd appreciate the chance to present our department updates at the next quarterly review. Being precise about the support you need makes it much easier for others to help you. So the more specific you can be, the easier it becomes for others to say, yes, I am willing to support you. Yes, I'm willing to put your name forward. And that was step 2, creating your advocacy message. So you want to make sure that you have your future vision statement, have your evidence portfolio, and have specific support requests. And that brings us to step 3, activating your advocacy loop. This is where you put everything into action through intentional outreach and follow-up. And that's the key part. It's not only about outreach, it's about the follow-up. And I know many of us don't do that very well, but if you want this advocacy loop to work, if you want to expand your network, you have to get better at the follow-up. Set up regular check-ins with your key advocates. These can be formal or informal. It can be in person or virtual, but they should happen consistently. Use these conversations to share updates on your progress, ask for advice, and explore how you can support their priorities as well. Because it's a 2-way street. You want to focus on creating 2-way value exchanges. Advocacy shouldn't feel like a 1-way street. Look for opportunities to support your advocates' goals, make their work easier, or connect them with resources they might need. The strongest advocacy relationships are mutually beneficial. And importantly, advocate for others. If you want others to advocate for you, it is crucial that you become a great advocate yourself. Champion your colleagues' work, recommend them for opportunities, and publicly recognize their contributions. This will establish a positive reputation for you as a leader who elevates others and create a culture of advocacy that benefits everyone in the organization. I want you to leave you with this thought. This framework isn't about manipulation. It's not about getting others to do what you want and get what you want without actually doing something for them. It's really about intentionally creating the conditions where others can genuinely support your growth because they clearly see your potential and direction. Your career doesn't move forward simply because you work harder. It moves forward when other people talk about your work when you are not there. When that happens, opportunities come to you instead of you scrambling to find them. So here's what you can do this week. Pick one person, who could be an advocate for you. Schedule a coffee or call with them. And here's the key. Make the conversation about them first. Ask what they are working on. Listen carefully. Ask insightful questions. Find a real way you can help them. This first step initiates the advocacy loop in a way that feels natural and builds genuine connection. Okay, my friends, if you found these ideas valuable and you want to put them into action with guidance and support, I want to tell you about an opportunity. Inside my Ignite Your Leadership Power Incubator, we work through these exact strategies with detailed templates, guided exercises, and personalized feedback. You'll build your advocacy network map, develop your compelling future vision, and create those specific support requests with expert guidance. These tools are exclusive to members of the incubator. They are part of the comprehensive leadership development system we use to help women create real career momentum. And if you are ready to take this work deeper, I have some exciting news. The Ignite Your Leadership Power Incubator is currently open for enrollment for our spring cohort. I'm so excited. It officially opened on Tuesday, and you are in the right place. This transformational program goes beyond what we can cover in these podcast episodes, providing personalized guidance on building your advocacy network, along with other essential leadership skills like executive presence, handling difficult conversations, building your personal brand, and strategic relationship building. And I should be upfront and let you know that not everyone who applies for the incubator will be accepted into the program. We are looking for women who are truly committed to their leadership journey and ready to do the work. So if that's you, I encourage you to apply through the link in the show notes. It's right at the top of the show notes. Click that link, go complete the application, and who knows, I might be giving you a call and inviting you to join us in the spring cohort that kicks off on March 20th. I want to leave you with this. The relationships you build today create the opportunities you'll have tomorrow. By intentionally creating your advocacy loop, you position yourself to receive the recognition and advancement you have earned, not by waiting for someone to notice you, but by inspiring others to speak up for you. If this resonates with you, join us in the Ignite Your Leadership Power Incubator. Registration is open until March 13th, and then we close the doors until at least September or October. I'm not sure yet. If a leadership promotion is in your sights for this year, 2025, join the incubator now. Let's do the work. Let's give you the support, the skills, the strategies that you need to make sure that by the end of 2025, you are in your new position. Thank you for joining me in this episode. I hope you will apply these strategies to at least one advocacy relationship. Until next week, my friend, I am Keely, reminding you that great communication is the foundation of inspiring leadership. Keep learning, keep growing, and remember to communicate to lead.